Hi everyone, welcome again to Bake Your Way Kitchen. Thanks for joining me. Today we are going to be making a rice pudding, and not just any rice pudding, I'm doing a chocolate espresso rice pudding. Now, the thing to remember about this is I'm going to be using a double boiler. Now if you don't have a double boiler like me, what you can do, you take a saucepan with 1 to 2 inches of water with a large mixing bowl that's heat proof. Very, very, very important. And you just place it over and you're good. The reason why you're going to want to use a double boiler or a mock double boiler in this case is because with this recipe it needs to slow cook, and this will very much prevent burning. So I would highly recommend you go this route. There's only a few ingredients really. Right here I've got some milk, I've got some melted chocolate, I've got some cocoa powder, some espresso powder, salt, and let me talk about the rice here for a second. I'm using a long grain wild rice. You could use regular white rice, but I just think, I try to avoid white rice because it, glycemic wise, it's through the roof. It's pretty much at 100. And this is a bit more, there's a bit more substance to this. It's not, I don't usually use this type of rice. It's a wild rice. It's got a lot of fiber in it. And so I would recommend just maybe using a wild rice or maybe a brown rice instead. Just a side note also for the chocolate. If you don't want to use real melted chocolate, you could use cocoa powder, a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder or something instead. I just prefer the chocolate, and I'll go get into that later on. But the first thing we need to do is I've got 3 cups and a 1/4 cup of milk, and we're going to pour this in a bowl. You could use full fat milk, or you could use a reduced fat. It's really up to you. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this over, and I need to scald the milk first. So by scald it means just below boiling point. So I'm going to do that before adding in any other ingredients. Now what we're going to do is add in our rice. Add in the rice, as well as our cocoa powder, espresso powder, and salt. Our sugar. And the sugar, it's 100 grams, half a cup, and this is 3 ounces of bittersweet chocolate, and I used 1 tablespoon of espresso, 1.5 tablespoons, of espresso powder, and 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder for extra chocolatiness. So that's most of the ingredients. We have 2 ingredients we're going to add in at the end, but what we're going to do now, just make sure all the cocoa powder and coffee espresso powder bits are all taken care of, are all covered up. And then what we're going to do is we need to cover this. So if you don't have a large enough thing to cover, you might need to do this recipe in a saucepan. So, but I should be fine here. We've got to reduce that heat. And then I'm going to take a cover, like so, and we're going to put this over top, and this will need to cook. This will need to cook covered for about 75 minutes, so 1 hour and a 1/4. So I think this is big enough. I'm going to get a larger one actually. That's perfect. So I'm going to let this go for an hour and a bit, and I'll show you what it looks like. My rice pudding here, and what I've done is I've put it basically in another bowl, and as you can see, it's thick. I could have put this on a little bit longer, but really it's up to you. With rice pudding, you can make it thicker or thinner. The bottom line is, as long as the rice is cooked, that's all that matters. The consistency is up to you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some butter, just I don't know, maybe a couple tablespoons, and a little bit of vanilla. And what we're going to do is let this cool completely. Now, most people like to serve it warm. However, in order for this to really set up the way we want it to, it does need to be refrigerated. I would say for a good couple hours. You could maybe express the process by putting it in the fridge, but you're going to want to let it cool on the counter first a little bit before doing that. And once you put it in the fridge for a couple hours, it will thicken up. And what you'll do when you take it out, you can heat it up either on the stove or in the microwave. Serve with ice cream is very delicious, or just on its own with a little bit of whipped cream, a little bit of fruit. It's really, really up to you. And as I mentioned, the consistency is up to you. So I had this on for about an hour because I like mine a little bit runny because I have it with some ice cream and I just like it to be kind of a river in the ice cream. But you can see it is still pretty thick, and it definitely has thickened up a lot more than it did before. But yeah, so that's pretty much how you do it. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Please do check out the channel, bakeyourway.com, for pictures of different recipes, baking tips, other recipes to choose from. I'll post some photos of the final result here. I hope you definitely give this a try. Thanks for watching this video, and I will see you next time.